Shana Grice was a British teenager who was murdered by an ex-boyfriend after he'd stalked her. The murder led to the criticism of Sussex Police for their failure to take Grice's complaints of stalking seriously. Grice had met Michael Lane in 2015 when they had both worked at Brighton Fire Alarms. Lane was from Thornhill Rise near Brighton. They formed a relationship and Lane had become obsessed with her. He refused to accept the breakup and said to a friend, "She'll pay for what she's done." Lane stalked Grice after she broke up with him and returned to her previous boyfriend, Ashley Cole. Lane put a tracker device on her car which notified him via his mobile phone every time her vehicle moved. On 8th of February 2016, Grice complained to police about being stalked by Lane after receiving unwanted flowers and damage to her car. On the 24th of March 2016, Lane snatched her phone and grabbed her hair. He was arrested on suspicion of assault but later released, and Grice was issued with a fixed penalty notice by the police for wasting their time by not disclosing she'd been in a relationship with him. On the 9th of July 2016, Lane used a stolen key to let himself into her home and watched her while she was apparently sleeping. She was actually awake, heard his footsteps and hid under the duvet. She heard the man breathing in her room. Shortly afterwards, the man left, and when Grice looked out her window, she saw Lane walking away. He was arrested for theft, given a police caution, and told to stay away from Grice. The following day, 10th of July 2016, she received around 7 phone calls from a blocked number, including one with heavy breathing. She was told there were no further lines of inquiry and the case would be left on file. On 12th of July 2016, she reported to police that she was being followed by Lane. Police treated the case as low risk, but that the investigating officer would be made aware. On the 4th of August 2016, she saw Lane loitering outside her home. She confided in a friend, Joanne Pumphrey, that she was afraid that police wouldn't believe her because of her previous fine for wasting police time. Although Joanne was a witness to this, Grice didn't report the incident to police. On the 25th of August 2016, Lane waited until Grice was alone at home. He then let himself in, cut her throat, and set fire to her bedroom with her in it. She was 19 years old at the time of her murder, and her killer was 27 years old. Her body was found by Ian Cook, her boyfriend's father, in her home at Portslade, East Sussex. Lane was arrested the same day, 25th of August 2016, at his then workplace in Burgess Hill. He initially lied to police about his movements that day before admitting that he'd gone to Grice's home. He claimed that he had found the front door open, then found Grice's body in her bedroom. He claimed that he panicked, then left the scene without dialing 999, checking Grice's vital signs or telling his family what he had found. He claimed he only kept quiet about what he had seen because he was afraid of being accused of murder. The trial lasted 2 weeks in Lewis Crown Court. After being found guilty, Lane was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 25 years. Grice's parents, Sharon Grice and Richard Green, said their daughter would still be alive if Sussex Police had acted on her complaints. The judge, Justice Green, also criticised police. During sentencing, he said, "There was seemingly no appreciation on the part of those investigating that a young woman in a sexual relationship with a man could at one and the same time be vulnerable and at risk of serious harm." The police jumped to conclusions and Grice was stereotyped. Sussex Police also revealed that Lane had been the subject of complaints of stalking and harassment from 13 other women. Most of the complaints related to the 3 years leading to Grice's murder, except for one which allegedly occurred within the preceding 10 years. A domestic homicide review report concluded that Lane had harassed 12 girls and a young woman between 2006 and 2016, and he had been arrested over claims he groomed a 14-year-old girl. He was not charged over the 2010 grooming allegation, which was marked on his arrest record, but it was not noted when Grice reported him for harassment. The allegation dates to when he was a volunteer scout leader. After his arrest, he resigned from the Scouts. He was told the allegation would be considered if he tried to rejoin the organisation. but when he did so in 2015, he was not recognised as a past member and he volunteered for several months. The failure to recognise him was put down to a temporary glitch in the IT system. The report said that Lane had used youth movements which appealed to young women and girls to allow access to victims. The report also mentioned an account of Lane being very controlling in another relationship, of him bombarding women with explicit messages, loitering outside their homes, pestering women to sleep with him for money, harassing two women he met in a pub, and assaulting another woman. In August 2019, it was announced that Sussex Police would no longer fine people reporting domestic abuse for wasting police time. Sussex Police apologised to Grice's parents and referred themselves to the Independent Police Complaints Commission, which launched an inquiry. In late April 2017, Sussex Police accepted 6 recommendations from the IPCC to improve the way the force dealt with stalking. The recommendations concerned training, data systems and making use of relevant information. IPCC Associate Commissioner Tom Milsom said that Sussex Police had taken a positive response to the recommendations, and he said that stalking and harassment are serious offences and in certain situations, such as those involving Grice, can have tragic consequences. Jason Tingley of Sussex Police said that additional training was already being provided and we have improved our understanding of what stalking and harassment is and what our response should be. In April 2019, a report by Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, Fire and Rescue Services concluded that stalking and harassment offences were not being properly investigated by Sussex Police. The report said that a training programme introduced after Grice's murder to help staff understand and identify stalking was never fully completed. Most investigating officers had received no training. Not enough victims were being referred to support services, and there was concern over online stalking. Police forces nationally were not using powers under stalking laws to search suspects' homes, which made investigations less thorough. Injunctions were not being used, so victims were not being properly protected. The National Police Chiefs Council was called on to make sure police forces around the UK make improvements and a single definition of stalking be adopted by police forces and government departments. In April 2019, it was announced that 3 police officers would face disciplinary action the following May. 2 officers, 1 retired, faced gross misconduct proceedings, whilst another officer was accused of misconduct. PC John Barry Mills resigned from the police before a disciplinary hearing on 10th of May 2019. One allegation against Mills is that he failed to adequately investigate allegations of harassment and stalking. This relates to the 9th of July 2016, when Grice complained that Lane had stolen her backdoor key, crept into her bedroom and watched her sleeping. Grice made a further complaint on the 12th of July of Lane following her in his car, but PC Mills failed to contact Miss Grice or update her regarding the reported incident. She was not called back, and a few days later receiving a letter stating that the case was closed. Friends said she was angry and could not believe the police had dropped the case and had not reported further instances of stalking as a result. It was the last time she contacted police before Lane murdered her in August.